chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming. We will start in just a moment.
Yeah, so it will be what Terran versus Terran on Zonaga Caverns, and as the Terran player, I'm expecting at least one of these players to try to go for Banshees. Banshees and perhaps some one-base play. Expansions are very difficult to try to defend against, especially on a map like this. There's 3 entrances into the natural expansion location, and also because your opponent is another Terran player, all of his units are ranged as well, and because of that, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to try to defend, as you can now see NGry spawning as the red Terran player on the top right-hand side of the map, and FlawlessKalu spawning as the purple Terran on the bottom left-hand side.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, in all these games, usually probably open up into a mirror, usually 1 gas, and into the single racks. So we'll see at some point it'll definitely deviate a little bit. We'll see what NGry goes for. Typically likes to go for the MMM in other matchups. Not quite sure what his TVT favors, but as I mentioned, relatively standard is the Marine tank play. So we'll see whether we get into that. And at the moment, just both players creating SCVs here and their initial supply depot. Interesting positioning on NGry's supply depot behind the mineral line there.
Yeah, that supply depot is normally positioned there if you are afraid of Hellions. A lot of the times Hellions try to sneak along that backside, or they try to just maneuver around the backside there by placing a supply depot there, and perhaps even another supply depot behind the 2 center mineral patches. The Hellions end up having to take very zigzag paths in order to make it through. So perhaps that's why NGry did that. He is also going for that barracks here, and we'll see what he decides to build on the front door. Normally, when you don't have a wall off, it does mean that you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. You don't need to protect yourself against any Marines and Marauders charging up your ramp. By the looks of FlawlessKalu, though, Kalu is going for that refinery, and we may see some Banshee play coming in from him.
It looks like Kalu a little bit behind on both the refinery and the racks. I think NGry got it down 1 food quicker on both of them, so he's going to be able to get up the racks a little bit earlier. I know in PvP, getting up that warp gate tech off the cybernetics core also important. Not quite sure whether TVT has any sort of interesting dynamics where you get up your barracks a little bit faster, but his first Marine will be coming out, so we'll be able to deny scouting a little bit earlier, as we see NGry being denied by Kalu because of that wall off, but NGry getting out the first Marine will be able to deny the scouting from Kalu from here on out with a little bit of stutter, now searching for that SCV, but the SCV is on its way to the western side doing a big circle, probably scouting maybe for any sort of proxy racks. And I like that play, scouting the whole map, very important, especially in an all-important, looks like we have a racks going down, so proxying one himself, as we see NGry getting up a factory.
Yeah, so 2 Marines now making their way down. We are going to be going into a tech lab, so we may get the Marauders Marauders with concussive shells, or we may start that combat shield, as early combat shield definitely helps out when you're trying to charge up a ramp. Stim, rather a little bit unforgiving. If you stim a little bit too much, your units take a bit too much damage, as now NGry the one going into double gas. So I take it back, NGry going into double gas, no wall off, and he may be the one going for Banshee play. As a tech lab now coming in online as well, and with this triple proxy racks push, this is going to be, or quadruple racks push coming in from Kalu. Kalu may be able to simply surprise NGry.
Yeah, and he's got stim, so we'll see whether he waits for that stim to push out, but he's going to have a lot of Marines, and NGry, as you mentioned, might be going for that Banshee play with all that gas. So we'll see whether he has enough Banshees, whether he's able to get Cloak up in time, but still in TVT, a quick scan can take care of a Banshee, especially with a counter. Basically, Marines and Kalu does have these 3 racks about to finish on the western part of this map, and once Stim finishes, I imagine he's going to get aggressive very quickly.
Yeah, so as soon as Stim finishes, he's going to become very aggressive, as you mentioned earlier, as there's only about 85 seconds left. Kalu was unfortunately supply blocked for a little bit of time, and when he's training off of 4 racks like this, he definitely needs to get as many supply depots down as quickly as possible. He's still training Marines from the barracks back at home instead of training up Marauders. I'm a bit questioning that maneuver, as he still is harvesting gas, and we'll see what he's trying to do, as now NGry moving out with 6 Marines and a siege tank.
Yeah, and NGry actually getting up an engineering base, so he's going to be ahead on upgrades if he's able to survive this pressure. But Kalu, Stim about to finish in a few more seconds for him, and we'll see whether he gets into some sort of base trade here. NGry might have these units out of position moving down into the south, and we'll see whether he pushes up.
Yeah, I said the only thing that NGry can really do is if NGry is able to take down that tech lab before the tech lab finishes that stim pack, that would be the only real thing that can save it there. And now the medevac picking up all of those units. And are the Marines going to be able to stim underneath? It looks like stim will be completed in just a matter of seconds. And it looks like Kalu deciding not to give chase there at all.
Yeah, so Stim about to finish up, and Kalu, I imagine, was going to be getting aggressive very quickly now, as we see a bunker going up for NGry. So he sees that the pressure could be coming. There's a lot of units out there for Kalu.
And Kalu also moving in with all of his SCVs once more. NGry now realizing this, sees all of those SCVs, and now trying to chase after those SCVs. The medevacs actually move faster than, the SCVs move faster than the medevac, so everything needs to return home as quickly as possible. Siege tank not yet done, and now Viking also on the ground, both sides battling it out. That looks like the bunker will get taken down. SCVs unable to repair it in time, and another siege tank getting destroyed, and it looks like Kalu doing another all-in attempt. SCVs trying to fight back. A siege tank down over here. No siege tank just quite yet. The SCVs trying to charge up the ramp, and this one Marauder having having his way with that siege tank, but the siege tank does have a range of 7, and it looks like the medevac just doing a hot pickups there, and now one Marauder is left. 2 SCVs constantly repairing each other. There are now 4 more Marines coming in. The Marines do have stim and are able to come back in. Once again, the siege tank does have siege check now, but it does deal more damage outside of siege mode if you don't account for splash. And now harvester count 3 SCVs versus 5, and there's the GG.
Wow. So NGry able to defend against that cheese there, and I'm not sure Kalu was actually out of it with a few SCVs and having killed most of NGry's, but I'm sure that NGry and Titan both going to be happy that he was able to defend against this cheese in this game and take Wednesday Night Starcraft for vVv Gaming.
Yeah, even though it looks like the worker count is about even, you have to remember that NGry got his 2nd orbital command. So those 2 additional mules, or that additional mule, and the ability to train up more SCVs would have tipped it definitely in favor of NGry the longer the game went. Also, the siege tank with siege tech, it could pull back a little bit and then just destroy all the Marines if they did try to charge up that ramp by splashing all of those units in there. And a really well-deserved win by NGry, responding and not overreacting to that all-in rush attempt by Kalu.
And I think we'll have a special series coming up. I'm going to have to restart real quick, so give me a quick moment. But I think Roar's saying that we're going to have another vVv player playing shortly, so everybody stick around for that. I'll be back in 1 minute. I'll leave you with Greta.